The following recording is one of the 38 workshops presented by and for members of the Adult Children of Alcoholics Fellowship at the 7th Annual ACA World Convention held virtually May 21st and 22nd, 2022. The AWC is hosted by the ACA World Service Organization and was made possible through the dedication and energy of ACA members giving service by sharing their experience, strength, and hope. Please visit the adultchildren.org website for more information about ACA, for worldwide ACA meeting listings, or to make a 7th tradition contribution. We hope that you enjoy the following workshop from the 7th Annual ACA World Convention, and the theme was Beyond Mere Survival, Action Coming from Love.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our worldwide ACA fellowship. Welcome to our 7th Annual ACA World Convention. This is the largest gathering of adult children in the world, connecting our ACA members, our family of choice, to each other all around the planet to share experience, strength, and hope as we recover from the effects of dysfunctional childhoods. While the pandemic brought challenges to us all, it also brought us together as a truly global fellowship as we found belonging and connection with others healing from the effects of family dysfunction. This convention is being hosted by the ACA World Services Organization, WSO, and our theme this year is Beyond Mere Survival, Action Coming from Love. This year we have 38 sessions running nearly 40 hours around the clock and around the world. My name is Pete, and I'm located in the greater Seattle, Washington area, and this session is called Stress Relief for ACAs. Anonymity, to preserve everybody's anonymity, the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, please be sure to rename yourself to show only your first name and last name initial. This session is being Zoomed worldwide as well as being broadcast on a streaming channel and audio recorded. The audio will be available for listening and downloading on the adultchildren.org website. We therefore ask that you do not record any audio, video, or take any pictures of any part of the AWC. We also request that you do not share the Zoom links on any social media, website, or email lists. Registration will be open throughout the event, and anybody can register. This is to protect the serenity of the event, and we thank you for your cooperation. Safety. During the meeting, all participants will be muted. Chat will be closed to all, but you will be able to contact the host at all times. Please do not send chat messages to the presenter unless prompted to do so. When a volunteer is requested to read or answer a question, please use the Zoom raise hand feature at that time. You will be asked to unmute when it is your turn to speak. The chat feature will be only open for participants before and after the main session, or if asked by the presenter to post questions or otherwise interact in the meeting via this function. Please remember that what you hear at this meeting should remain at this meeting. We do not talk about another person's story or experiences to other people. Please respect the privacy of all those who share with us today. While we are on video, please be mindful of others and turn off your video if you are eating, smoking, not currently in view, i.e. the camera is showing the ceiling, moving around, or are in a public area with other people present. And our opening. We meet to share the experience we had growing up in an environment where abuse, neglect, and trauma infected our childhoods and still affect us today. While our members may be from homes where addiction was present, it's not a requirement. The only requirement for membership in ACA is the desire to recover from the effects of growing up in an alcoholic or otherwise dysfunctional environment. By practicing the 12 steps and accepting that we can't recover alone, we identify with the problem or laundry list and learn to live in the solution of reparenting ourselves with gentleness, humor, love, and respect one day at a time. Please join me in opening our meeting with our ACA Serenity Prayer in whatever language or way calls your heart. God or whatever higher power, Grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know that one is me.
Et la sagesse de me rappeler que cette personne soit moi.
All right, so stress relief for ACAs. I'm sure none of us have ever been stressed, but for those of you who have been, hopefully you will be getting some, at least one tip that you're going to enjoy using whenever you need. For me, I am an ACA with over 30 years in the program. Stress and I have had a better than 50-year relationship. My childhood stress, I guess, I used to say that if you looked up the definition of a dysfunctional family, you'd see my family as a perfect figurehead for that. This picture that you see is the last picture that I know of before the craziness and dysfunction started when I was 7 years old. My parents had 9 marriages, 7 divorces, 1 widowing combined. And I have 1 sister, 100% blood sibling, but she is from a different marriage. So my parents got married, had my sister, got divorced, got remarried, had me, got divorced as part of their dysfunction. So kind of interesting that I have this sibling that is from a different marriage. And so I'm still waiting to find somebody else who I can relate that to. Stress, it forced me, like many of you, it forced me to be an adult way before I should have been. And in fact, I have something that totally reminds me of it that I'm going to share with you, but I'm going to warn you before I share it, you probably got to strap on your seatbelt. When I was 11 years old, my mom was heavily drinking on Christmas Eve. And for some reason, I decided that I was going to interview her with my Radio Shack tape recorder. And at one point, as an 11-year-old, I asked her, why does she drink so much? And just give a quick listen to this 1-minute snippet from that hour-long interview. When did you start drinking?
Really? Yes. And then I used to boil coffee. Well, why do you drink about 100 coffees?
Why do you drink 6 drinks a night?
6, 9 o'clock, you've already inhaled about 6 or 7 drinks.
6 or 7.
You paid for them? No. Why do you drink? Did you pay for them? No, why do you drink that? Okay. Forget it, Phoebe. All right, then.
Asking my mom why she drank, inhaled 6 or 7 drinks in a couple hours a night. And my mom's response to that was, did I pay for them? So needless to say, I'm not sure why I recorded that at that time. But when I found that recording many years later, roughly 15 years later and stuff, it took me back, just like it always does when I listen to that. It takes me right back to being an 11-year-old. At 13, my mom and she decided, because I was a teenager, had become a teenager, and I was very angry about what was going on with this dysfunction. So she just thought that, oh, I needed to get laid. And so she set me up with a 46-year-old friend. It was 11 years before I was intimate with another woman after that. At 14, I tried to commit suicide by slitting my wrists. And while I was doing that, my mom and my stepdad, as drunk as they were encouraging me. Fortunately, I stopped when the blood started coming out, and I went into my room and just stabbed my pillow with my knife. And probably the final nail in the coffin of this dysfunction happened in 1998, when my stepdad committed suicide by hanging himself, and he made sure that I would be the one that would find him. And needless to say, I keep that image in my mind. I can't get rid of it to this day. So fortunately, I found ACA on November 7th, 1990. And I really believe this great program saved my life, because I learned not only to like myself, because I was very angry at that time, but love myself as well. So I owe this program my life. And given all that happened in my childhood and my early adulthood, I pretty much learned to stuff stress. And it literally almost killed me several years later. You know that feeling of being mentally and emotionally overwhelmed? That happened to me in particular this time in 2008, where I had a just perfect storm of stressful activities happening to me. My dad was dying and he needed all of his affairs to be taken care of. My mom had major hip surgery, but not physical therapy insurance to help her recover. My children at the time were very small, they wanted my attention. My business needed all of my attention. I was working probably 70 hours a week, and my marriage was heading for a divorce. So lots of stuff on my shoulders. And I ended up getting diagnosed with stress-induced diabetes. The problem was I didn't listen to my body about what stress was doing to it. Instead, what I did was I continued to burn the candle at both ends for another 10 years until I ended up in the emergency room with a severe case of diabetic ketoacidosis. For those of you who don't know that, basically my body was eating itself alive because of my stress. And I was 1 hour from being comatose. So during the next few minutes, what I want to talk about is how we manifest stress. I want to introduce you to a model of how you can get, foundational stress relief. I'm going to facilitate several easy to use stress relief activities, and then I'll wrap up my story before we open it up for sharing. So, how do you know you're manifesting stress? We manifest stress both mentally and physically. Mentally, it might be a lack of concentration. Instead of normally you're able to focus and get things done, you just can't think. That's one. A mood swings where you go from happy to sad or angry at a moment's notice. Or panic attacks where you're getting anxiety over something that may or may not happen in the future. Or prescription drug or alcohol addiction. These are all indicators that you are likely to be mentally stressed. Physically, it can be things as simple as back or shoulder stiffness. For those of us who our work requires us sitting at a desk, this is very common because when we're stressed, we tend to hunch over, and that puts a lot of pressure on our back and shoulders. Frequent colds. Instead of maybe having one cold a winter season. Maybe you're getting a cold every month or every few weeks. Digestive disorders, like that no amount of Pepto-Bismol can help. Or you notice yourself heading for or picking up the Excedrin bottle every day or every other day instead of occasionally because of your headaches. Or you're sleeping too much or too little. And weight fluctuations, either gaining or losing weight rapidly. Those are all indicators that you are physically stressed. In fact, right before I was diagnosed with stress-induced diabetes back in 2008, I lost 30 pounds in 30 days. And at first, I thought it was fantastic because I was in my mid-40s and I hadn't lost weight since, early 20s. I wasn't doing any dieting. I wasn't doing any special exercise other than the normal stuff I was doing, but the weight kept coming off. And once the 30th pound came off, I decided to get some blood work, and sure enough, stress-induced diabetes. Where does stress manifest itself from? So you could probably guess that most of our stress is mental, but what you might not realize is that most of our mental stress is self-induced. We do it to ourselves. And during my research for the book that I wrote, I found that there were 7 areas where we stress ourselves out. And those areas are our livelihood or our career, our imagination or our conscious mind, our genius, which is our unconscious mind, our physical health, the time we have available, our environment, and our network of relationships. I'm going to briefly touch on each one of these first, and then we're going to get into the fun activities. So our livelihood, our career. We are likely to spend more time at work than doing just about anything else. And those of us with workaholic tendencies may work more hours than we sleep. Given the enormity of time involved with that, it is really important that we can find something, even for a couple of minutes a day, that can help us get a little bit more balance. Our imagination or our conscious mind, it's only 5% of our brain, and it's where our creativity lives. But it's also where our inner critic and our control freak lie. So what we really need to do is let our creative side of our brain have some fun as we're figuring out how to reduce our stress. And our genius, which is our unconscious, is our other 95% of our brain. It's our autopilot because it runs our body 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's where our memories are stored. It's where our habits are formed. It's where our perception of the world lies. And frankly, it is really where real change happens. Our physical health, which is the inspiration for why I educate people on stress now. If you don't have your health, nothing else matters. And if you don't believe me, think about the last time you were really sick. Did you feel like you wanted to do anything other than lie in bed? Probably not. And when you have no energy other than lying in bed, you can't get anything done. You're no good to your job. You're no good to your business. You're no good to the people you love and the people around you. So take care of your health. Your health is paramount. Time is also a precious resource. Unfortunately, with time, as we all know, once it's gone, we can't get it back. And that's why it's really important to start taking action today, not tomorrow, next week, next month, today. Because if you find even one activity that takes a minute or two on a daily basis to do, and you do that regularly on a daily basis, it becomes a habit, and the compound benefits over time will be enormous. You just have to start. Our environment, whether it's at work, at school, at home, is critical to our stress relief success. So let's say we have an important project that we have to do. It's probably important that we have silence, a comfortable place to sit, no interruptions, and understanding from those around you. So it's really important that your environment is supportive of your stress relief efforts. And finally, your network of relationships. The people in your life matter. And when we're stressed, we tend to be less patient, more irritable, and less able to listen or be empathetic to those around us. So it's really important that we don't take our relationships for granted. You got to make sure that they're in alignment with the other aspects of this Lighten model. So that is it for the opening of this. Now we're going to get into what I really enjoy doing, which is leading these activities. And before we start with our first one, what I'm going to ask you to do is turn off any notifications you have on your phone or on your computer. The reason being is if you get a notification during these activities, it's going to distract you. And if you get distracted, you won't get the full benefit out of these activities. So like if you've got email notifications, Slack notifications, just turn them off for the next few minutes and you'll get a real benefit from this. And our first activity, kind of in the same category as Jay's wonderful drumming and visualization, it is a visualization activity. And what I'd like you to do is, if you don't mind closing your eyes, and you take a deep breath in, and I want you in your mind to go to a place you like to relax, your happy place. Maybe it's the beach, maybe it's a lake, maybe it's a park, maybe it's your backyard, maybe it's the spa. Wherever it is, go there now and take in all of your senses. So what do you feel? Do you feel the sun on your face? Maybe you feel the sand or the grass under your feet. What do you smell? Do you smell the fresh air? Maybe the lotion from the spa? Or maybe chocolate chip cookies? Whatever it is, take that in. And what do you hear? Do you hear the wind blowing through the trees? Maybe the water splashing on shore? What do you see? Do you see the blue sky? Maybe the green of the grass or the trees? Whatever it is, take it all in. And then take another deep breath in. And open your eyes. It's a simple visualization exercise that literally takes 1 minute, and you can do it anywhere. So if there's just need to get a little bit of grounding, it's a very easy activity that you can do. Our second activity really has to do with something that's, causes us stress, which is our fear. And as I mentioned earlier, that most of our stress is self-induced. We do it to ourselves. And it's because we're fearful about something that we may not have confidence in or don't know what's going to happen. And I like to think of fear as a 4-letter acronym. Now, we have a lot of 4-letter words. So I think of fear as a 4-letter word that the acronym stands for fictional evidence appearing real. Fictional evidence appearing real. Too often we get this anxiety over something in the future that may or may not happen. And if we think negatively, if we think, it's going to go wrong, I know it. The problem is we send that negative energy out there and we are more likely to manifest that negative outcome. So instead of being in that stuck state, what I like to do when I kind of am fearful about something is I like to ask myself, what would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? What would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? So think about that and ask yourself, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? What that does is it opens up the world of possibilities. Instead of being in the stuck state of fear, it opens up what is possible. And when you're starting to stretch yourself and you're going into what I like to call uncharted waters, let's say you're going to go for an interview for a promotion to something you've never done before, or you're going to do an adventure of some sort that kind of gets you nervous. The thing is, you're probably going to run into a roadblock or a speed bump or something like that, but that is not a failure. It's a place you've never been before. And what that is that's actually the universe giving you feedback on your way to your success. So don't think about any kind of speed bumps along the way as failure. It is just feedback to help you get to where you want to go. And it all starts with asking yourself, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Next activity is extremely powerful. If you've never formally elicited your personal values, you're getting the opportunity today to do this. Our personal values, our top personal values in particular, are what's important to us, how we spend our time, and how we evaluate the use of our time. And remember that time is a precious resource that we don't get to get back. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what your top personal values are. And if you have a pencil and paper or pen and paper available, that would be good to have, because it works really well as a handwritten activity. If you don't have that available, not a problem. Just open a Word document on your computer or a text app on your phone, as long as you don't turn on your notifications. Keep those off for the next few minutes. And before we start either writing or typing anything, what I'd like you to do is close your eyes, and I'm going to ask you to think about 3 times in your life. The first time, I want you to think about a time in your life when you were most happy. Most happy. Who were you with? What were you doing? What was the occasion? I'll give you a few seconds to think about that. The next time, I want you to think about a time in your life when you were most proud. Most proud. What were you doing? What was the occasion? Who were you with? And the third time of your life that I want you to think about is a time in your life when you were most fulfilled, most fulfilled. F-U-L-F-I-L-L-E-D. Who were you with? What were you doing? What was the occasion? And now that you have those 3 times in your mind, I'd like you to open your eyes. And I want you to either write or type as many 1- and 2-word answers to the following question. What's important to you in your life? What's important to you in your life? As many 1- and 2-word answers to that question. What else is important to you in your life? And what else is important to you about your life? Once you have at least 5, what I'd like you to do is take a look at your list, and I want you to rank them with a number to the left or the right side, and rank your most important as number 1 and your least important as the last number on your list. And just put that down, either the right or the left side of your values. And if you have 2 values that you can't differentiate, what you can do is ask yourself, if you had value A, but you couldn't have value B, would that be okay? If you ask yourself that question, that'll give you a ranking of those two. Sounds like we have somebody, if they can turn their mic off, because I could hear somebody kind of typing, moving around. Now, with your list that you have your rankings on, what I'd like you to do is rewrite your list, preferably on a separate piece of paper or separate list from the list that you have. And all I want you to do is I want you to rank your top 5 as value 1, value 2, value 3, value 4, and value 5. Now, with this list that you have of your top 5 values, what I want you to do is if it's on a piece of paper, I want you to keep that in your purse, in your wallet, easy access. Take a picture of it with your phone, whatever you have to do to have easy access to this list. And the reason is because the next time that you have a very important decision to make sure that that decision is in alignment with your top 5 values. Because if it is not in alignment with your top 5 values, I guarantee you are going to add additional stress to your life. And the reason is because you're not being true to yourself. And your personal values, they don't change radically over time. So this is really who you are, and you need to honor that. So keep any major decision in alignment with your top 5 values. The next activity is an interesting one. If you've ever had a challenge with making a decision, a yes or no decision, you may want to give this one a try. And it's pretty amazing, actually. It's called Ask the Pendulum. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate how this works. All you need, I'm going to stand up so you can see this better. All you need is some sort of either a pendulum or something on a chain that has a weight on the bottom of it. And what happens is you first calibrate the pendulum by saying, pendulum, show me yes. Amplify. And you might notice that it's starting to go left and right. I'm not purposely moving it. And now I'm going to say, pendulum, show me no. Amplify. Okay, so it's actually swinging forwards and backwards. So left to right is yes, forwards and backwards is no today. And so I'm going to ask the pendulum a yes or no question, and preferably something with a time limit on it. So let's see. Pendulum, should I get a dog this year? Amplify. Okay. Left and right, which would be yes. So the pendulum says I should get a dog this year. And I certainly will have to ask my cat Leo about that. But what is going on with this? What is going on is your unconscious, which if you remember earlier, I said is your true genius. You're tapping into your unconscious mind, and your unconscious is communicating what you really want through micro muscle movements in your body. Now, I wouldn't try this with, let's say if you're thinking about buying a new house or a new car, I wouldn't do it right off the bat with something, that's financially very large. But it is something that you can practice with and try. And, if you've ever had one of those questions where, should I do it? Should I not do it? Try this. It is really something. And it's only going to give you the answer that's right for you because you're tapping into your unconscious. So that's Ask the Pendulum. Next one is random acts of kindness. And it's amazing how a simple act of kindness can work wonders for relieving stress for yourself as well as others. And what I like to do is at the start of my day, I like to either send a quick email or a text to someone, either praising them or thanking them for something they did, or just letting them know, I was thinking of you. That is part of the story. The other part is don't expect a response. If you send a message and expect a response, you set yourself up for disappointment, that expectation. Instead, send the note just because you want to. And if you do get a response, consider it the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae and enjoy a positive jolt of energy to soften any challenge that you might be dealing with. And it really doesn't take much effort. It's just a simple, random act of kindness. Give it a try. Our last activity is called Hakalau. And Hakalau is a light meditation that is really suited for calming you before a stressful event. So let's say that you have to have a difficult conversation with someone, or maybe you have to give a presentation and you don't like giving presentations. Whatever something that's coming up very shortly in the future is something that you're uneasy about. This right before that activity can be very helpful. And what you do is wherever you happen to be, either sitting or standing, you pick a spot on the wall, a stationary spot, something not moving, a spot on the wall, preferably above eye level. And you just start staring at that spot. And as you stare at the spot, just let your mind go loose and focus all of your attention on that spot. Notice that within a matter of moments, your vision begins to spread out, and you see more in the peripheral than you do in the central part of your vision. Now, pay more attention to that peripheral. In fact, pay more attention to the peripheral than the central part of your vision. Notice how that feels. Okay, go ahead and close and open your eyes. And notice that you're likely to be calmer, more grounded, more aware of your surroundings. And if you had a challenging event coming up, you'd be better able and ready to take on that event. And that's called Hakelau. Very simple activity you can do as well. So getting back to being in the emergency room, and I ended up having an extended stay in ICU for the first time in my life. I had a major realization that I had to change what I was doing to myself, or else I wasn't going to be around much longer. I was aging rapidly. That's what stress does to you. And so what I did was, after I got out of the hospital, I started applying several different stress relief techniques, including the ones that we did today. And not only did I notice that my stress went down, but my glucose numbers as a diabetic went down, my weight went down, and my energy level went way, way up. It was as if I had discovered the fountain of youth. And here is the absolute amazing part. If you were to see a picture of me back in 2008, when I was first diagnosed with stress-induced diabetes, and you see a picture of me now, other than a little bit more gray hair on my head, I actually look younger today than I did 14 years ago. That's what stress does to us. So I hope that you got some benefit out of these activities. And, I really believe that everyone here can reach their full potential if you can get a handle on your stress. So try one of these activities out and utilize it. Utilize it, because if we can find something that works for us to reduce our stress, we're going to be better for it today, tomorrow, long term. So I want to thank you for this. At some point, I'm going to put the links to these activities if you want to. I put them on YouTube so that you can try them out on your own again. And I will go ahead and go to the next slides, which are the promises. And we'll open up to sharing after this. The promises. Number 1, we will discover our real identities by loving and accepting ourselves. 2, our self-esteem will increase as we give ourselves approval on a daily basis. 3, fear of authority figures and the need to people please will leave us. 4, our ability to share intimacy will grow inside us. 5, as we face our abandonment issues, we will be attracted by strengths and become more tolerant of weaknesses. 6, we will enjoy feeling stable, peaceful, and financially secure. 7, we will learn how to play and have fun in our lives. 8, we will choose to love people who can love and be responsible for themselves. 9, healthy boundaries and limits will become easier for us to set. 10, fears of failures and success will leave us as we intuitively make healthier choices. 11, with the help of our ACA support group, we will slowly release our dysfunctional behaviors. And 12, gradually, with our higher powers' help, we will learn to expect the best and get it. So, just a moment, notes on sharing and crosstalk. An important part of our recovery is speaking our truth by sharing our story, experiences, and feelings. Sharing is one of the first steps we can take when coming out of isolation. To create a safe space, to open, please refrain from interrupting, making comments, referring to someone else's share, whether positively or negatively, mentioning someone by name, or offering advice. This is referred to as crosstalk. In ACA, we avoid cross-talking because as children, we were frequently interrupted, insulted, or told we were wrong when we tried to express our thoughts and feelings. In ACA, we speak for ourselves and our own unique perspectives without the need to qualify because it was true for us. We do this by sharing from our personal experience using I, me, and my, and avoid speaking for the group as a whole by not using we, you, and us when sharing. We keep the focus on ourselves and don't need to identify with or fix others. All right. And Adelina, I'm not sure how it opens up for sharing, but can use the remaining time for sharing.
I think Liz will help. Thank you
Hi,
so much.
I'm going to start with the first question. I've had a few chats. People want to know how to spell Huckaloo.
Huckalau. Okay. So do you want me to paste into the chat the links there, and it has the spelling in there?
Yes, that would be
Okay.
perfect. People have
Okay.
also asked for that, but you could answer other questions first if there are any.
Sure. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to stop share for now just because I need to get into, oh no, I can do chat right now. Okay. So I don't know how to do, oh, everyone in meeting. Yep, there we go. So let's see, got that and should be able to see it. Yes. So Hakalau the last one there,
Yes.
Hakalau.
Thank you so much, Pete. That was an amazing presentation and very helpful for sure. We have about 29 minutes for sharing, or maybe 28 minutes before we do the official closing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, Pete, if you want to stop sharing so that everybody can see everybody, and
Yes.
yeah, people can indicate you would like to share by raising your hand. And John is next.
Hi, Pete. Thank you. This is John.
Hi, John.
I'm from California, and like like many ACAs, I have an overreaching sense of responsibility. I continue as much as I try. I've been an ACA since 2008. I've been an Al-Anon since 2003, so I've done a bit of recovery, but still, my desire to people please and my need to buy love with, good behavior and codependency causes me to just keep taking on more. But lately, I've been feeling more compelled, almost by a higher power, the spirit seemingly is taking care of me as I launch through this intense speed of service that I'm doing. Because I'm a vice chair of our intergroup in San Francisco. I'm a vice treasurer of a pretty successful Alano club here in Sonoma County. And I'm a treasurer of a meeting, and I just have a lot of service that I do. I'm a sponsee, so I have a lot of phone calls, a lot of meetings to attend. And my wife passed away last April, and part of why I dove into service was I was just dealing with my grief. I just felt like I was not settled. When you lose a spouse after 27 years, it was just, for me, like the floor fell out of my foundation. And so I turned to service, and service was safe for me because I was accustomed to the benefits of it, and I felt the love that gets shined onto me by those who are also giving service. But I see in ACA that service can be also overwhelming, you know. I mean, I've been doing ACA, ABC work, and the ABC was really intense this year. There was 13 proposals. I saw the board members just pulling their hair out basically with you know, extra work being done. And I was reminded that we have to keep a balance. And you kind of commented that, you know, these 5 things that are most important to us have to be taken into consideration when we make decisions. And even the decision to take on a new project, you know, has to be evaluated. And so I haven't I haven't cut back on anything yet, but I'm now more mindful, especially since I think my health is also a barometer. I mean, how I'm doing with health, and that was one of my 5, is how am I healthy, you know, health-wise. And if my health is maintained and I'm not physically showing signs of stress, then I keep moving forward. But if I start suffering in health, then I know I have to cut back. So anyway, stress is great. Stress relief, your workshop is helping me. I think everything thus far with this conference has been great. It's taken a lot of stress to get this conference going. And it's almost like a quid pro quo. You bust your ass to get this thing done, and then you try to enjoy, and then we go through with the withdrawal of not having it after it's done. So we're all on this roller coaster. But I applaud everyone who's done a great job getting us here, and thank you. Thank you, Pete.
Thank you, John, for sharing. And I just spontaneously ended up moderating the sharing time. Wanted to check in with Pete. Can it be question and answer session as well as sharing with no crosstalk?
Of course, as long as it's okay with the group at large.
Sounds good. Question and answer. I mean, somebody is asking you questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm happy to answer those too.
Beautiful. And then, I don't know, 2 minutes share so that we can have as many people. 2 minutes? Okay. Can we have a volunteer to time the shares? My timer is not very good. Not too loud.
I could do that, Adelina. Angza here.
Thank you, Angza. Sounds awesome. Okay, so 2 minutes, everyone. And if you have questions and answer, 1 minute question, and then maybe Pete, 2 minute answer. How's that? Okay, so Francesca is next, and then Lou.
Yes, I have a question. Hi, Adelina. I have a question about the pendulum exercise when we're asking our unconscious about what we want. Now, I just make it clear that it's, so when we ask the pendulum the question, it's really about tapping into what we want, what we want, not necessarily how things are going to turn out, right? You know, so I can't ask a question, you know, is it a good idea to, you know, like some kind of qualifying question that would indicate what the turnout would be. So it's just like, do I want a dog? Yes or no? And that basically answers that, yes, I do want a dog. But will I be successful in getting a dog that year? I don't know. Is that how it works?
That's exactly right. It's a very good question. Yeah. So you wouldn't want to use this as something as a predictor. Right. It's designed to help you make a decision at this time. So if, you know, I use the dog example, but as, you know, as you were asking the question, I was thinking, yeah, this is not the kind of thing that you're looking and saying, should I buy a particular stock right now, or where should I put my money right now? Because I want to make more money in the future. There's no guarantee that that's going to happen, because what it is it's tapping into your unconscious about what's right for you at this time. Unless you are highly experienced in a particular area and you're trying to make a decision in that area, chances are you can't, you know, that prediction is not going to manifest itself exactly as you expected. But what it's designed to do is help you, if you're sort of like, you know, that classic fork in the road where you're not exactly sure, should I make the left turn, should I make the right turn, and you're just kind of stuck. This is another thing that you can do to see what you're feeling at that moment. What is the right choice? That's what I would use the pendulum for.
Right. So for instance, say we meet someone that we like and enjoy. We could ask the question to clarify how we're actually feeling about that person. And if we pursue that person, doesn't mean that there's going to be the kind of outcome we want it to be or think it should be. It just indicates that we have an affection or an attraction to that person authentically.
Absolutely. So it would be that you have that attraction. And then what I would suggest doing at that point is doing a personal values exercise to your top 5 values as it relates to a relationship. And then you make sure, because that you're in alignment with that, your top 5 values. That trumps the pendulum for sure, because that's who you are.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad I asked that question. I'm not sure if you know about the muscle testing technique. Does that work the same way? If you know about this?
Yes, similarly, but this, the one with the pendulum, most of us have something like a necklace or something, even some of us have keychains that have a little bit of a chain on them, as long, that it's a nice visual experience. But with the muscle technique, a lot of times people think too much about it, and it ends up, you can't get the exact correct answer. But with the pendulum, the crazy thing about that is, as long as you don't think about it, you just say yes or no. Do I, want this? And if you put a time frame on it so that your unconscious knows when you're thinking about doing it, you just let it go. It's going to start doing the direction that is going to give you the answer for you.
Thank you so much. I think it's clarifying, because I always got confused about the muscle testing, and I've tried the pendulum, and
if I may, sorry to interrupt.
Sorry. Okay. Thank you, Adelina. Thank you. Sorry. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Francesca. You can continue the conversation offline. Yes, Pete can share his email address or phone number with us, so you can continue discussing. Awesome. Okay, so just wanted to clarify, 2 minutes for share. And if you have a question, just indicate that I have a question. So 1 minute for the question, 2 minutes for the answer from Pete, just to make sure as many people can share. And Lou is next, and then Sonia, then Lily. And thank you, Angza, for timing. Lou?
Hi, Pete. Thank you for the talk. I'm quite new, and I think I just want to ask a question. I think it's just constant trauma reaction, this sharing and everything, and I just I think that I need to keep on sharing to get over it. But I think there's also just a lot of stress. I know it's shame and all of that, but it's also, I'm just constantly stressed. I just wondered if you had any, I'm going to try everything that you've said, but I just wondered if you have any suggestions.
Yeah, sharing is definitely extremely powerful when we know this in our meetings, and it needs to come out. It absolutely needs to come out. So I would suggest first and foremost to just get to as many meetings and just let it come out. Let it come out. I've been in this program a long time, and my own personal experience, as well as the so many fellow travelers that I've been around, it is when when there's something inside, as we talk, we get it out, and we get realization from that. Because when we're completely overwhelmed by stress inside, it affects us up here, obviously, and we can't have clarity. So I definitely think you're doing the absolute right thing. I think making sure that you keep looking at your top 5 values and continue to go back to those, because many times when we're feeling that inside there's something wrong, it's because we've gone off our path of our values.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Keep coming back.
Thank you for sharing, Lou. And next is Sonia, and then Lily.
Great, thank you. Hi, Pete. Thank you so much for sharing all the great information. I have two questions. Hopefully they're kind of quick, and I'll lay them out first and you can tell me what you think, or tell all of us what you think. With the pendulum, I'm wondering, like, is that accessing all of you? Because sometimes when I'm feeling really stressed and I'm having a hard time making a decision, there's multiple parts of me that feel different ways. So do you have ideas about, is that taking into consideration all of the different parts? Or is there a way to help get into the different parts in decision making? So that's the first question. And then, which if that's all we have time for, that's great, but I'll throw the other question out as well, which is, do you have any suggestions on, oftentimes when I feel stressed, it's because I want another person to do something differently. So do you have any ideas on how do I deal with myself when I'm wanting someone else to do something differently?
Okay, I think they're two very great questions, Sonia. I think I can answer both of those in the time allotment. The first one, yes, because there's going to be all these different things going on for a particular decision. The best way using the pendulum to figure out what the right decision is to chunk down into the question. So instead of going high up, chunking up to something that's more, 10,000 feet level in terms of your decision making, you come down into more detail. So instead of, let's say, should I take a new job that makes me move? Maybe one question would be, should I take the new job? And another question might be, do I want to live in that particular city, say, for example? So that, if you can chunk down in the questions, you can tap into different parts of yourself to see how you feel. And then you just have to align that with what is most important to you in terms, is it the career, is it where you live, etc. You have to make sure that you're in alignment with whatever's most important to you. So that's how that would work. The other question about trying to get somebody else to do something for you, anyone who's a parent probably knows this, that it's almost impossible to try and get your kids to do stuff. Your partner, if you've ever tried to coach your partner, that's almost impossible to do too. What you have to keep in mind is, and this is something that we all do this to a certain extent, when we have something that we're stressed about, and let's say we want somebody to do something, the reality is that we start stressing about all aspects of that. And yet, really, roughly 50% of what we're stressing about is within our control, and 50% is not in our control. So what we have to think about is—
Time for the answer.
Okay. So I'll just wrap up and just say, you need to think about what is it that you can control in a situation with another person, and only focus your attention on that, because you cannot control another person. But what aspects of that can you control? Your reaction, your feelings about it, etc. That's the only thing you can control. And if you can focus on that, you'll notice that your stress will go way down, because the stuff that we can't control, we can't make any change to anyway.
Thank you, Pete. Appreciate your service. This is a great workshop. Thanks.
Thank you for the kind words.
Thank you very much. We have 10 more minutes for share or questions and answer. Lily is next, and then EV, and then John P. Lily, go ahead.
Me?
A little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, better.
Okay. I have a question. It's like, have you ever tried to change your value? Because for me recently now the most important is the love from a romantic relationship. But I've talked to my therapist, and I find maybe I can, because it's not a very scheduled thing about when can I find a partner. So I try to gain the love from friendship as a substitute. So have you ever tried to change your value? That's my question.
That's a very interesting question, Lily. Thank you. I have never tried to change my values because our values are really who we are. And if we try and change them, the only way we're going to change them is through our life experiences. And when I first got involved with personal values work, it was actually, I was working for a company in San Francisco back in 1994. And I got trained in their values-based system. And I found that my top 5 values did not include health. And the other 4, which include freedom and fun, etc., those still remain today. But what happened was, after I lost my health, now all of a sudden health became my number 1 value, and it remains my number 1 value to this day, regardless of what area of my life I do my personal values on. Chances are, if you want to look at your different personal values and see if they're changing, what I would recommend, since the relationship issue or area is something that's very important to you, is do your personal values work on a relationship, not just life in general, on your relationship, maybe on your family is a separate one, your career is another one, and you can see which ones of those values are consistent among your different areas of your life and which ones are not. And that gives you some more insight as to who you are. And if you keep a journal of that, then you'll be able to see whether or not it changes over time. But I would not try and manually force a new value into your top 5, because it can't be manufactured, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I
welcome.
guess our next member is EV. Question or share, let us know.
Yeah, thank you. My question is about values in the last exercise that we did. I wrote the 5 values, and I
lost connection. Is it just me?
No. So maybe we can go to John and then go back to EV if he comes back. Hopefully he does.
Yeah.
And hopefully I'm not running away, because there is a storm coming up. They said the electricity power will go down. So if I disappear, I will join by
Can
my
you
phone.
hear me?
Oh,
you're back now. Perfect.
Yes.
Go for it.
Sorry.
Go for it.
So my question very shortly. I was writing about my values, wrote 5 of them. And as I was numbering the order of them, the inner conflict arose. I was starting to question myself, was that the correct order? I'm not sure. I was getting angry with myself. And then as I have done numbering them, I started to think that, well, I'm not accepting of myself by those values, although I like separately each one of them. I wonder what's happening here, and if I cannot understand what's even happening with me here, and what insight could you give in that situation? Thank you.
That's an excellent question, Evie. So there's 2 things from what your description that I want to comment on. One is, I'm not sure if you heard at one point when we were doing the activity, but when you have conflict between 2 of your top 5 values, you can ask yourself the question, if you had value A, but you couldn't have value B, would that be okay? And you can reverse that question as well. If you had value B, but you didn't have value A, would that be okay? So that helps you to rank them. Now, The other thing that is very important to know, and I'm not sure if everyone, when you were doing this, but you might have wondered, how come at one point, I asked, what's important to you in your life? And then I waited minute and a half, and I said, what else is important to you about your life? And then I waited one minute, maybe a minute and a half, and I said, and what else is important to you about your life? So the reason I do that is because when I ask you the question the first time, that's your conscious mind answering. When I asked you the second time, that was your subconscious, which is in between your conscious and your unconscious. And when I asked you the third time, that was your unconscious answering. And so the conflict you might be having is the fact that, your unconscious, we're not in connection with that, consciously, because our conscious mind is driving what it thinks we want to do. Our unconscious is actually who we really are. And so keep that in mind, that there's 3 areas of your mind that we're actually working on that exercise. And if you were having conflict, that was your conscious mind trying to control your subconscious and your unconscious, which is, if you recall, your 5% of your brain. It's where our control freak lies. That's why it gives us stress.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Perfect timing. I ended up doing time because our timekeeper, she has a power outage. It's a storm happening in Toronto right now. Anyway, so our last share or question and answer from John P. John?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Pete, and thanks, Adelina, and everyone for your service and being here. The exercise I didn't quite understand was the I can't, and I just was wondering if you had any suggestions on the critical inner parent and how to relieve the stress from the critical inner parent sort of focus. Thank you.
Very good question, John. Yes. I think with our critical inner parent, what happens is that our inner critic, whether it's our parent or just our own selves, it's not there necessarily just to criticize us. It's there to try and protect us. And so the way it does is it says, oh, you can't do that because I don't want you to fail. It's trying to help us not be disappointed, etc. But what it does is it overarcs itself on you. So my suggestion on that, reason that question about what would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? If you can allow yourself to get past the, oh, you can't do that, or you're not going to be able to do that, or you're going to fail. The fact of the matter is, when we let our creativity go and just say, what if I couldn't fail? What would that look like? It starts to nudge us forward. And that is, it's not going to happen overnight, because we've had this years and years. Like I had 50 plus years of dysfunctional training of saying why I wasn't good enough, et cetera, et cetera. That does not change overnight. That's why we have to do the steps. That's why we have to stay in the program and continue to work on ourselves. But if we can get into the habit of asking, instead of immediately saying, oh, I'm not going to do it because I'm going to fail, but start to think, okay, but what would that look like if I did try and I couldn't fail? Then it starts to get into our minds that, there is actually a different path. And so what we're trying to do is get into a new habit, and the habits are formed in our unconscious. If we can get into the habit, you'll find that asking ourselves that question, as opposed to defaulting to the negative of I'm going to fail, will have a profound effect on us. But we have to give it time, and we have to practice it and make it a habit. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that was fine. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Thanks a lot. Wow, a huge storm here and my power is out. But I think, Pete, we can wrap up now with the closing.
Okay, so let me go ahead and go back to that. All right, and go here. All right, that's all the time we have for sharing today. Many thanks to all of you for listening and holding space. Listening is often the greatest support we can offer and receive. Thank you to the tech hosts and all those giving service to bring this year's ACA World Convention to us all. Now everyone will be allowed to unmute so we can close with the ACA Serenity Prayer in the language or way that is meaningful for you. God or higher power,
ge mig sinnesro
to accept
acceptera människor jag inte kan förändra. Men jag kan förstånd att inse
the wisdom to know that one is me.